Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Weihrauch, and in today's episode, we're asking the question, do I want change or just credit? But before I get into that, let me say Happy New Year's, and I've tried to pick an article that I think will set us on a good trajectory for thinking about the New Year's and New Year's resolutions. And hey, maybe your New Year's resolution is to listen to Wake Up, Look Up. If so, great start. You're nailing it so far. This is focusing on a hilarious story in the sports world, dealing with the Charlotte Hornets in the NBA basketball. If you're not a sports fan, let me just give you a little context. The Hornets have been in the NBA for about 20 seasons. They've actually been in the NBA longer, but then they went away and moved to a different city and came back. And anyways, about 20 years. In those 20 years, they've had 4 winning seasons. Okay, 4 winning seasons in 20 years. They are the absolute basement of the NBA. And I say this as a Browns fan. So look, I'm not looking down on anyone. You might think of them as the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. They're not any good, but they're not just not good at basketball. Apparently, they're not even good at giving stuff away. That's because recently they had an on-court promotion in which Hugo, the Hornet, their mascot, dressed as Santa Claus and delivered gifts to Charlotte Hornets fans, including one 13-year-old kid that they brought down to the court. And as everyone in the arena cheered, they gave that kid a PlayStation 5. Wow, what a gift. Highlight of that kid's Christmas. Everybody celebrated. The kid was pumped. Then they walked him off the court into the back of the arena and took it away from him. That's because he wasn't actually going to get it. They gave him a Hornets jersey instead, which you might be guessing, as I previously alluded to, no one really wants. That's because I guess they were going to take the PlayStation 5 back. They didn't want to spend the $500, even though they're $1 billion franchise. The funny thing about the Hornets is after the event happened and it caught big on social media, they said, hey, we messed up. We turned the ball over, which if you've watched the Hornets play, you know is pretty familiar territory for them. It's a funny story. It's funny to me in part as a Browns fan because I could see the Browns doing this. Like, we can't even give things away without taking an L. But it's also interesting to me because I think the reason for this story is the reason why New Year's resolutions don't work. You see, the Hornets weren't actually interested in being generous. They didn't want to be generous. They wanted to appear to be generous. They wanted to come off as generous. And that's the difference between, I think, real change and change that doesn't last. I think most of us, if we're honest, we don't want to be healthy. We want to look healthy. We don't want to be financially wise. We want to appear to be good with money. It's appearances that we're after. Jesus warns about this, by the way, time and time again in the Gospels. This is his chief objection with the Pharisees. They don't really care about connecting with God in prayer. They just want to look like they do. They don't care about being generous with the poor. They just want you to think of them as being generous. I wonder if we wouldn't all benefit this New Year's Day from an exercise in which we divided our New Year's resolutions into 2 buckets. The ones that are mostly driven by appearance, by cosmetics, by our pride, a desire to be seen as being something, and then those that we actually really care about. And maybe do yourself a favor, take that first bucket and just throw it away. Those aren't going to stick. That's not really what you want. And focus on this. Who do I really want to be? Who do I really want to be? What do I really want to do? What do I really want to accomplish? Even if no one sees. Appearing to be generous and actually being generous are 2 very different things. Listen, if you want to win this year, don't be like the Charlotte Hornets. That's never a good winning formula. Instead, focus on what God is telling you needs to change and then decide you're going to do the hard work of change even if no one notices, because it's the change you really want and really need. And for those of you for whom that change involves Wake Up, Look Up, I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, thanks so much for watching this episode of Wake Up, Look Up. While you're here, take a minute to like and subscribe. It really helps us get the word out. Don't hesitate to leave a review wherever you might find this podcast on an audio level and help spread the word. And hey, while you're here, check out all the other content we have at Christ Community Chapel on YouTube. Some of those videos are popping up on the screen now. Click on one.